Assistant Pennyworth, take this divorce agreement and file the papers." In the office, Evelyn Sterling handed the document she was holding across the desk. Arthur Pennyworth, the executive assistant, was shocked. "Mrs. Blackwood, Mr. Blackwood loves you so much. Are you really going to divorce him?" Years ago, when Julian Blackwood announced he was marrying Evelyn, he faced skepticism from everyone. How could a favored son of heaven, like Julian Blackwood, truly like a Cinderella? He's just looking for novelty. He's just playing around. He'll get bored eventually. Now, 5 years had passed, and Julian had become a household name as a wife guy, a man obsessed with his wife. He tattooed Evelyn's name over his heart to express his love and transferred all his personal assets to her name. 2 years ago, when Evelyn was in danger, he ruined one of his legs to save her. He underwent over a dozen surgeries to recover, and his leg still ached whenever it rained. Because Evelyn had a medical condition that made conception difficult, he willingly accepted having no heirs, saying that having Evelyn in this life was enough. He even said that if anything ever happened to Evelyn and she was gone, he wouldn't live alone. His life revolved around only 2 things: Evelyn Sterling and work. Evelyn stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, her thoughts drifting away. She was still in college when she first met Julian Blackwood. Abandoned by her parents at a young age, she worked part-time at a bar to pay her tuition. Julian fell in love with her at first sight and pursued her passionately, but she rejected him. She didn't believe that a pampered young master would truly like her. It wasn't until later, when Evelyn was harassed by several drunk men at work, that Julian intervened to save her, getting his head smashed and bleeding profusely in the process. From that moment on, she was moved. Married for 5 years, she thought that in this lifetime, nothing but death could separate them. But she never imagined that Julian had been with another woman behind her back for 3 years and even had a son. In that instant, her heart ached to the point of suffocation. In the freezing winter, she soaked herself in cold water for 2 full hours. It was only when Julian returned that he found her and lifted her from the bathtub. The usually calm and composed man was panicked, his hands trembling as he cried, begging her not to leave him. Evelyn looked at his weeping face. The love in his eyes seemed so real. Since he loved her so much, why was he with another woman? She could endure him not loving her, but she couldn't endure him lying to her. So last night, while he was drunk, she tricked him into signing the divorce agreement. She wanted him to lose her forever. "I've decided to divorce him. Also, book me a flight to New York for 10 days from now." Evelyn took off the wedding ring from her ring finger and threw it into the trash can. "After I leave the city, donate all the assets he transferred to my name. Every single cent." Evelyn turned and walked out of the office. Only when she got outside did she realize it was raining. She hadn't brought an umbrella and let the rain soak her. Suddenly, a Cullinan stopped in front of her. Julian Blackwood got out of the car with an umbrella and walked quickly toward her. "Evie, why are you standing in the rain? What if you get sick? It would break my heart." Julian held the umbrella, tilting it entirely toward Evelyn's side, while his own back was completely soaked by the rain. Evelyn looked at the nervousness in his eyes, her heart aching sharply. She wondered, dazed, was he like this with that woman too? 3 years ago, Julian took her to a banquet. A group of socialites mocked her, calling her an ugly duckling and splashing wine on her. The leader of the bullies was a woman named Tiffany Vane. In a fit of rage, Julian had someone teach Tiffany a harsh lesson and even bankrupted the Vane family. But behind the scenes, he had rolled into bed with her and had a child. Evelyn smelled the perfume on him, her stomach churned, and she bent over and threw up. Julian looked as if he were facing a great enemy. "Evie, where do you feel unwell?" Some vomit stained Evelyn's lips, and he reached out to wipe it clean with his hand. "Let's go to the hospital for a checkup." Evelyn shook her head. "I'm fine. Let's go home." Julian only carefully helped her into the car after confirming repeatedly that she was okay. Someone passing by snapped a few photos and posted them online. They instantly hit the trending topics. The popularity crushed celebrity couples, sparking discussions among netizens. "Oh my God, President Blackwood actually used his hand to wipe vomit off Mrs. Blackwood's lips. I heard he has severe germophobia and won't wear a suit if it gets a speck of dust on it. I've only been married to my husband for 6 months, and he won't even touch food I've bitten. A love-struck brain is a man's best dowry. President Blackwood's love is truly presentable." After seeing the trending topic, Julian posted a tweet directly. "In this life, I only love Mrs. Blackwood until death do us part," tagging Evelyn Sterling. Undoubtedly, this tweet caused another sensation. Evelyn returned to the villa and took a hot bath first. When she came out, Julian walked over with a bowl. "This is the ginger tea I made. Quick, drink it to warm up." He held the spoon to feed her, but Evelyn took the bowl from his hand. "I'll drink it myself." Julian chuckled softly. 10 days from now is our 5th wedding anniversary. I want to hold a banquet to let everyone know you are the woman I love most." As he spoke, the phone on his body vibrated. He ignored it. A few seconds later, it vibrated again. He took it out, glanced at it, and immediately said, "Evie, my sister is back from her trip and insists I pick her up at the airport. I'm going now. You be a good girl and go to sleep. I'll cook for you when I get back, okay?" As long as he had time, Julian would cook for her. Evelyn gave a hum of acknowledgement. Not long after Julian left, she received a video from Tiffany Vane. In the video, Julian was holding a baby. "Say Dada," Tiffany laughed. "He's still little, he can't talk yet." Julian's handsome face was full of smiles. It was obvious he liked the child very much. The bowl in Evelyn's hand fell to the floor, shattering into pieces. So he didn't go to the airport to pick up his sister. He went to see Tiffany Vane. In a trance, she remembered going for a checkup that year. The doctor said her health was poor, and it would be difficult to conceive. Julian held her and comforted her for a long time, saying he hated children, thought they were noisy, and only wanted a world for the two of them. Immediately after, Tiffany sent another photo. "This is the wedding dress Julian designed himself. What you have, I have too." Evelyn stared at the photo, her blood running cold. After Julian successfully proposed to her, he stayed up for several nights drawing the design for the wedding dress and had a flawless gown made, saying it represented his unique love. Now, he had actually given an identical wedding dress to Tiffany Vane. Evelyn tilted her head back, but the tears she tried to hold back flowed down uncontrollably. The favoritism she thought she had was all a joke. She stumbled into the walk-in closet, took out the wedding dress she once cherished immensely, and cut it to shreds with scissors. Her hands shook violently, and several times she nearly cut her fingers. Finally, she cut up their wedding photo album as well and packed it all into a gift box with the ruined dress. At this moment, Arthur Pennyworth arrived. "Mrs. Blackwood, the divorce procedures are done. Here is the divorce certificate." Evelyn took the certificate. She put one copy in her bag and threw the other into the gift box. She handed the gift box to Pennyworth. 10 days from now is my wedding anniversary with Julian. He will hold a banquet to celebrate. Give this gift box to him then." Evelyn sat in a daze until dark when Julian finally returned. He gently hugged her. "Evie, Mom wants us to go back to the old estate for dinner." Evelyn smelled the faint scent of baby milk on him, and her nose stung. Eventually, she nodded. Julian took Evelyn to the Blackwood family estate. During dinner, Victoria Blackwood looked at Evelyn and asked, "Is there still no movement in your stomach?" Evelyn said faintly, "No." Victoria looked disgusted. "Tomorrow I'll take you to see a specialist. Julian isn't getting any younger. It's ridiculous that he still doesn't have a child." Julian's sister, Chloe Blackwood, also spoke sarcastically. "Yeah, every time I go out, people ask me when I'm going to be an aunt. I don't know how to answer. Brother, no matter how much you treasure her, she can't just not have children." Julian threw down his chopsticks, his handsome face dark. "I don't need children, I only need Evie. If you talk nonsense to her again, don't blame me for turning hostile." Evelyn looked quietly at Julian. She wasn't moved in the slightest, she only felt it was ironic. He didn't need her to have children, because he already had a child with another woman. Before dinner was finished, Julian pulled Evelyn away. Outside, Julian held her hand tightly. "Evie, don't take what Mom and the others said to heart. I love you very much. It doesn't matter if we have children or not." Evelyn gave a fake smile. "I know." Seeing her smile, Julian's tense nerves relaxed. "Let's go home." Just as he was pulling her to get into the car, his phone rang. After answering it, he said to Evelyn, "Evie, something sudden came up at the company that I need to handle. I'll let the driver take you home first, okay?" Julian looked at Evelyn as if he wouldn't go unless she nodded. Evelyn hummed, "You go, I can take a taxi home myself." Julian kissed her forehead, his voice gentle. "Then text me when you get home." Evelyn got out of the car. Just as she took out her phone to call a car, she saw Tiffany Vane send her an address, telling her to come over. After hesitating for a moment, she went. It was a small villa. Julian's car was parked outside. Perhaps because he was in too much of a hurry, he hadn't even closed the door. Evelyn walked over slowly. Seeing the scene in the living room, she suddenly froze, her heart stinging. Even knowing this kind of thing had happened countless times, seeing it with her own eyes still made her feel suffocated and breathless. Julian had Tiffany pinned on the floor. His frenzied and intense manner was something she had never seen. The room was filled with all sorts of dazzling paraphernalia. Yet in front of her, he had always been a man who blushed if she proactively kissed him. She covered her mouth to prevent herself from making a sound. She wanted to leave, but her legs stood frozen in place as if they wouldn't obey. Tiffany knew she was watching and deliberately lifted her legs to wrap around Julian's waist. "Honey, who's better technically, me or Evelyn Sterling?" Julian's face changed abruptly, and he reached out to choke Tiffany's neck. "Shut up, you are not worthy of being compared to Evie. Don't call me honey, only she can call me husband." Tiffany, being choked until her face turned red, hurriedly acted coquettishly to coax him. "I was wrong. Master, don't be angry. Love me properly." Julian leaned down, biting her lips. Evelyn took out her phone with trembling fingers, opened the camera, and started recording. 5 minutes later, she couldn't watch anymore and used all her strength to move her feet and leave. Evelyn didn't know how she got back to the main villa. She sat on the floor, sleepless all night. It wasn't until morning when Julian came back and saw her sitting on the floor that he asked nervously, "Evie, why are you sitting here?" "Nothing. I watched a horror movie last night. I got scared and didn't dare to sleep." It wasn't that she didn't want to sleep. It was just that as soon as she closed her eyes, the image of Julian and Tiffany's bodies entangled would surface in her mind, making her feel sick. Julian revealed a pained expression. "It's all my fault. I finished work too late last night and slept at the company. I didn't come back to sleep with you." Evelyn didn't speak. Sensing that her expression wasn't quite right, Julian panicked a little. He grabbed her hand and hit his own face with it. "Hit me. Vent your anger, okay." Evelyn pulled her hand back. "No need." Julian coaxed softly. "Evie, don't be mad at me. I won't do it again next time. By the way, I bought a new villa and put it in your name. It's already renovated, and we can move in any time." Evelyn had asked someone to check. The villa she went to last night was the one Julian had just bought and given to Tiffany. He was probably feeling guilty, so he bought another new villa for her. To cheer Evelyn up, Julian took her to her favorite restaurant for lunch. After ordering, Julian took out a velvet box. "Evie, this is a necklace I had someone bid for in Europe. It's called the Yield. See if you like it?" Evelyn glanced at the ruby necklace lying in the box, dazzling and eye-catching. She had seen it in a magazine. It was worth $10 million. The designer named this necklace the Yield, symbolizing that the one who loves you will bend down so you don't have to tiptoe. It was very romantic. Before she could speak, she looked over Julian's shoulder and saw Tiffany pushing a stroller in. "I want a window seat." Hearing Tiffany's voice, the expression on Julian's face froze slightly. A moment later, he looked at Evelyn and said, "Evie, you must be tired of the food here. Let's go to a different restaurant. Switching back and forth is troublesome, and I'm hungry. Let's just eat here." Julian wanted to say something more when he heard someone praising Tiffany's child. "Your child is so cute." Tiffany smiled. "The baby looks more like his father. Then your husband must be very handsome." Tiffany looked at Evelyn, triumph in her eyes. "Yes, my husband is handsome and treats me very well. I'm very lucky to have met him." Evelyn noticed the ruby necklace Tiffany was wearing around her neck. It was identical to the one on the table. She clenched her fingers, sticky blood seeping from her palm. Julian stood up. "Evie, I'm going to the restroom." Evelyn nodded. After a while, she looked up and saw Tiffany was gone too. She stood up and walked toward the restroom. Before reaching the restroom, she saw Julian and Tiffany standing in the corridor. "Didn't I warn you not to appear in front of Evie? And you brought the child. Do you have a death wish?" As the voice fell, Julian saw Evelyn. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes. He suddenly reached out and pushed Tiffany to the ground, his face dark as he spoke. "If you dare hurt Evie again, I'll kill you." Tiffany sat on the ground, looking up at him pitifully. "Get lost," Julian interrupted her, then strode over to Evelyn. Evie, let's go eat at a different restaurant. After leaving the restaurant and getting into the car, Evelyn received a message from Tiffany. Do you think treating me like that means he loves you? Let me tell you, he has my name tattooed on him too. I am in his heart. I even gave him a son. Evelyn Sterling, you lost a long time ago. Julian was just about to start the car when he saw Evelyn reach over to undo the buttons of his shirt. He chuckled lowly and teased. Mrs. Blackwood, we're in the car. Why have you suddenly become so impatient, As the shirt buttons were undone, Evelyn saw the tattoo on his chest. Aside from her initials, there was a letter below, X. This X represented the Xin in Tiffany's Chinese name Yuzin. When did you get the letter X tattooed? The expression on Julian's face was a bit unnatural as he explained. I got it yesterday. I originally wanted to surprise you tonight. X is the initial for Xuan from his Chinese name Shixuan, representing that we will be together forever. Tears burst from Evelyn's eyes as she murmured, Is that so? Seeing her cry, Julian frantically wiped her tears. Evie, why are you crying? Evelyn sat back, dodging his hand. I got sand in my eyes. Back at the villa, Julian went straight into the kitchen to cook. Evelyn sat on the sofa and unknowingly fell asleep. She only woke up when Julian finished cooking and came to call her. Sitting at the dining table, Evelyn noticed his hand was wrapped in gauze. What happened to your hand? The servant next to them interjected. Madam, the master accidentally cut his hand while chopping vegetables. He bled a lot but didn't care, insisting on continuing to chop, saying you were hungry and he had to cook first. The master really loves you. Julian touched Evelyn's face lovingly. As long as it makes my Evie happy, I'll do anything. Evelyn stared at him blankly. Thinking of the little things over the past 8 years, her dead heart rippled again. After dinner, Julian said he wanted to nap with her, but after checking his phone, he changed his tune. Evie, there's an emergency at the company. I have to go now. Evelyn knew he was lying. She pressed her lips together. What if I don't want you to go? Julian hesitated. He felt that Evelyn was different from usual today, as if he would lose her completely if he left. Just as he was about to speak, a new message popped up on his phone. He looked down, his Adam's apple bobbing. From close range, Evelyn saw it too. Tiffany sent him several photos wearing a sexy kitten outfit. Master, I'm waiting for you at home. Julian put away his phone, his voice apologetic. I'm sorry, Evie. I'll be back very soon after dealing with the company matters. Evelyn remained silent, watching his retreating figure. The lights in her heart went out one by one. 2 hours later, Tiffany sent her a video. Knowing this video would cause her pain, Evelyn still clicked on it. In the video, Julian was sleeping while holding Tiffany. His face had the satisfied expression of post-coital bliss she knew well. Evelyn clutched her heart tightly, as if only this could stop the pain. Tiffany sent another voice message. The villa he gave you has now been transferred to my name. Evelyn, you can't beat me. Evelyn stared at the phone for a long time until her vision blurred. It didn't matter. She was leaving soon. In the evening, Julian returned. Evie, I just received news that the new villa is a bit unclean spiritually. I'll buy another new one. The location is even better than that one. Evelyn gave a lukewarm hum. Afraid she was unhappy, Julian said, When I finish this busy period, I'll take you abroad for a vacation, okay? Okay. Evelyn went to the company to hand over some work. Everything had to be settled before she left. By the time she finished, it was already dark. Her phone showed a message Tiffany sent 10 minutes ago. Come to my new villa now. I guarantee you'll never forget it. Evelyn hesitated for a while, but went anyway. There were cars all around the outside of the villa. It looked very lively. Only when she approached the door did she realize they were holding a 100-day banquet for that child. Julian and Tiffany were surrounded in the center. Julian's parents, all the Blackwood relatives, and Julian's friends were all there. So they all knew already. Victoria Blackwood put a jade pendant around Tiffany's neck and smiled. Tiffany, thank you for giving me a precious grandson. This jade pendant is a Blackwood family heirloom. I'm giving it to you now. From now on, I only recognize you as my daughter-in-law. Chloe also chimed in sarcastically. Yeah, I only recognize you as my sister-in-law. While holding the child, Julian said, All right, listen to me clearly. No one is allowed to spread word of tonight's events. Don't let Evie know. Chloe stuck out her tongue and leaned into Tiffany, whispering, Sister-in-law, I support you. You and my brother hurry up and have a second child. Evelyn Sterling will never beat you in this lifetime." Knowing Evelyn was outside, Tiffany looked in her direction and smiled provocatively. Evelyn's body swayed. She stumbled back 2 steps before barely standing firm. The next second, she couldn't take it anymore and turned to leave in a wretched state. Tiffany sent 2 more voice messages. "Evelyn, did you see? Our family of 3 is very warm and happy. Everyone is blessing us. You are just the 3rd wheel. If I were you, I'd get lost as soon as possible. Julian also said all his personal assets go to you, but the entire Blackwood family fortune is reserved for my son." Every word was like a sharp knife stabbing into her heart, leaving it dripping with blood. Evelyn walked down the road in a daze. Her parents divorced and abandoned her when she was 3, each forming new families. It was her aunt who raised her. Although her aunt treated her well, she was still inferior to her bones, lacking security, and not believing anyone would truly love her. It was Julian who moved her bit by bit with fervent and sincere love, until she took off her armor and defenses to hand over her heart, believing in love. But now, it was also Julian who personally pushed her into the abyss, making her wish she were dead. The green light turned on. She stepped forward to walk across, and a sedan rushed toward her as if suddenly losing control. Evelyn's vision went black and she fainted. When she woke up, she smelled disinfectant. This was a hospital. Julian was holding her hand, his voice trembling. "Evie, you're finally awake. You scared me to death." Evelyn looked at Julian. His eyes were red, showing obvious fear as if he were truly afraid. She looked away. Julian kissed her hand. "Evie, I've already had the driver who hit you arrested. I'll make him pay. I won't let anyone who hurts you off the hook." Evelyn asked, "Are you really afraid of losing me?" Julian looked at her with eyes full of love. "Evie, do you know, when I got the news of your car accident, I almost went crazy. I can't lose you, or I won't be able to live." Evelyn believed Julian's words were true. But how could his love be given to 2 women at the same time? The doctor said her injuries weren't serious, just superficial wounds, and she could be discharged after 2 days of observation. Julian guarded Evelyn every step of the way, afraid she would disappear if he blinked. At noon, Evelyn received a message from Tiffany. "Did he tell you he already arrested the driver who hit you? He lied to you. He knows full well I was the one driving and deliberately hit you, but he didn't do anything to me. He even said he'd take me out to play in a few days." Evelyn shook with anger. So it was Tiffany who drove the car and hit her. Julian lied to her again. Evelyn didn't speak the entire afternoon, nor did she pay attention to Julian. Julian thought she wasn't feeling well and coaxed her patiently. In the middle of the night, Evelyn was sleeping groggily when she was woken by noise outside the ward. Julian's displeased voice reached her ears. "Who let you come here? If Evie discovers our relationship, I'll kill you," Tiffany acted coquettishly. "Master, I just missed you and wanted to come keep you company. Look, do you like this lace I'm wearing underneath?" After a silence, there was the wet sound of lips and tongues tangling. By the dim light, Evelyn saw them kissing passionately while walking toward the bathroom, doing it inside. Evelyn bit her lip hard. Hospitals late at night were always exceptionally quiet, making their obscene sounds so distinct. Tiffany sobbed and begged for mercy. "Ooh, master, be gentler." Julian said hoarsely, "How can I fill you up if I'm gentle?" Evelyn didn't want to listen. She raised her hands to cover her ears firmly, tears sliding from the corners of her eyes and soaking the pillow. Although she had decided to give up on Julian, at this moment, she still felt a pain as if flesh were being gouged out. Immediately, she comforted herself again. As long as she left Julian, everything would get better. Discharged and back at the villa, Evelyn went to the study. She compiled the chat history Tiffany had sent her, including various photos and videos, into a PowerPoint presentation of full 180 pages. Pennyworth could have done this, but she did it herself, like self-torture, re-experiencing the pain of Julian's betrayal once more so she could remember it firmly. After finishing, she sent it to assistant Pennyworth. "Play this PPT at the wedding anniversary banquet." Originally, she planned to separate peacefully, but now she had changed her mind. She wanted revenge on Julian for breaking his vows and betraying her sincerity. She wanted him to regret it. Julian suddenly came in. "Evie, what are you doing?" Evelyn closed the laptop. "Our wedding anniversary is in a few days. I'm preparing a gift for you. I hope you'll like it." Julian hugged her, saying affectionately, "I like whatever you give me." Evelyn sneered internally. She guaranteed this gift would leave a deep impression on him. She held up her hand and said, "I discovered my ring is missing today. Do you think this means something will happen to our relationship?" Julian immediately squatted down, half kneeling on the floor looking at her. "Evie, I love only you in this life. That will never change. If the ring is lost, I'll buy you a new one. I'll buy you a big diamond ring every year from now on, okay?" Mockery flashed in Evelyn's eyes. She believed Julian truly loved her. But so what? She didn't want dirty love. There were 3 days left until she left. While packing, she sorted out many things. The watch she bought for Julian with 2 months of wages when they first got together. The custom couple rings she prepared a month ago for the anniversary gift. The couple outfits they wore daily, including various gifts Julian gave her. She had the servants throw them all away. When Julian came back and saw the things Evelyn threw away, he asked in panic, "Evie, why did you have the servants throw away the gifts I gave you? Did I do something to make you angry?" They had been together for so many years, and Evelyn had always treasured the things he gave her. Now that she had thrown them all away, a bad premonition surged in his heart, as if something were slipping away that he couldn't grasp. Evelyn looked calm. "No, we're about to move soon. I'm just clearing out some things I don't like. You'll buy me new ones anyway, won't you?" Julian hugged her abruptly, his voice sounding like he was about to cry. "Evie, I'll buy whatever you like. Just don't leave me. I can lose anything, but I cannot lose you." Evelyn remembered the scene when Julian proposed to her. "Evie, I will treat you well for a lifetime. Please marry me. I'm different from other men. I promise there will be no other woman after we marry, or else I'll die a horrible death." He had even cried then. Facts proved there was no difference. They were all the same. Evelyn raised her hand and patted his back. "Of course I won't leave you. We agreed to be together for a lifetime." Hearing her say this, the uneasiness in Julian's heart dissipated. He loved Evelyn. No one could replace her. The reason he had relations with Tiffany initially was that he was drunk after a social engagement. When he woke up, he almost strangled Tiffany to death. But Tiffany knelt on the floor, crying and begging him, "Julian, I love you. I don't want anything, just to stay by your side. Please. I'll be obedient. I'll do whatever you tell me to do." Tiffany kissed him over and over, making him feel excited. He could be unscrupulous with her. But with Evelyn, even if he accidentally left a mark on her, he would blame himself for a long time. Julian tightened his arms. "I love you, Evie." Before leaving, Evelyn planned to go back to her hometown. Julian wanted to accompany her, but she refused. "No need. You're so busy. You don't need to go with me." Julian felt Evelyn was a bit strange lately, but couldn't put his finger on it. Thinking he might have neglected her by being too busy, he decided to make it up to her properly on their anniversary. "Okay, our wedding anniversary is in 2 days. Remember to come back early. I've prepared a surprise for you." Not long after she arrived in her hometown, she received photos from Tiffany. One was of Julian cooking in the kitchen. The other was Julian feeding her, peeling shrimp for her. Evelyn clutched her phone and let out a cold laugh. So he would cook for Tiffany too. Julian's love was truly cheap. She opened her photo album and deleted all the photos taken of them together. It was like completely clearing their memories. The next day, Evelyn returned to the villa. She walked into the bedroom as usual. At a glance, she saw the messy large bed with a torn bunny outfit on it. Even the sheets had residual sticky traces. Looking further, she saw a bracelet on the vanity. She had seen it on Tiffany's wrist. Obviously, Julian and Tiffany had done it on their marriage bed. Evelyn stood sluggishly, her face turning paler and paler. Thinking of them rolling in the bed, she felt nauseous. She couldn't stay a moment longer and turned to walk out quickly. As soon as Julian entered the door, he saw Evelyn walking downstairs with a pale face. He frowned and asked, "Evie, what happened?" Evelyn pressed her lips tight. "Nothing. Maybe I'm a bit tired." Julian hugged her immediately. "Evie, you're finally back. I missed you." Evelyn couldn't distinguish which was the real Julian anymore. The one who said he loved her was him. The one who brought Tiffany home to roll in the sheets was also him. She pushed Julian away. "I'm going to get the anniversary gift now." Julian immediately said, "I'll drive you." Evelyn shook her head. "I'll go myself. It's a surprise gift. You can't know in advance." Julian scraped her nose dotingly. "Okay, then I'll wait for you at home." Just as he spoke, the phone on his body vibrated. He took it out and saw a message from Tiffany. "Tonight is your wedding anniversary. You definitely have to sleep with her. Just thinking about it makes me feel bad. Can you come keep me company now? I just bought ultra-thin condoms." Behind it was a selfie of her sitting in the bathtub. Julian's breathing suddenly became rapid, his eyes dyed with lust. Evelyn saw it too, but she was already numb. Julian put away his phone. "Evie, there's an emergency at the company. I'll rush over to handle it now and come back to pick you up later." Evelyn pulled the corner of her lips. Company matters again. He was too lazy to even find a new excuse to brush her off now. Seeing she didn't make a sound, Julian looked puzzled. "Evie, go ahead. You don't need to come back to pick me up later. I can go to the hotel myself." Julian nodded and leaned in to kiss her. Evelyn dodged, and the kiss landed on the corner of her mouth. Julian froze. She never dodged his kisses. What was wrong today? Evelyn stared at him. "Julian, goodbye. Goodbye forever." After speaking, she turned and went upstairs. Julian wanted to chase after her, but his phone vibrated again, urging him to hurry. He comforted himself that it was fine. He would coax her properly tonight. Evelyn returned to the bedroom, took her important documents, and left. She took a taxi to the airport. Taking out her phone, she saw a message Julian sent her. "Evie, I'm done. I'm heading to the hotel to wait for you now." Evelyn replied, "Okay, wait for me." She wouldn't go. He would never see her again in this lifetime. She had already instructed Assistant Pennyworth on everything. Proceed as planned. She pulled out the SIM card and threw it into the trash can. She walked toward the boarding gate without looking back. Grand Hyatt Hotel. Julian kept checking his watch. The banquet was about to start, but Evelyn hadn't arrived yet. He took out his phone to call Evelyn. After 10 unanswered calls, he felt an inexplicable panic. Just as he was about to go out to find her, Assistant Pennyworth walked in carrying a gift box. "Mr. Blackwood, where is Evie?" Pennyworth handed over the gift box. "The madam won't be coming. This is the wedding anniversary gift she sent for you." Julian glanced at it but didn't take it. He was in no mood to open gifts now. Frowning, he said, "Impossible. She just messaged me asking me to wait for her." Pennyworth handed the box over again. "Mr. Blackwood, you will understand once you open this box." Julian looked at the box, his heart tightening. Did Evie find out about him and Tiffany? No, it couldn't be. He was so careful, Evie wouldn't have discovered it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have had her assistant send the anniversary gift. Maybe she wanted to give him some surprise. So he took the box and opened it. The wedding dress, cut into shreds, assaulted his eyes. Julian froze. He remembered on their wedding day, Evelyn wearing the dress he designed himself, saying seriously to him, "Julian, I love you very much. But if one day I find out you've had a change of heart, I will choose to leave you forever so you never see me again." Julian's heart curled up in pain. Digging deeper, he found their wedding photo album. It was also cut into pieces. Seeing Julian dazed, Assistant Pennyworth reminded him, "Mr. Blackwood, there are more things in the box. Keep looking." As if having a bad premonition, Julian stepped back 2 paces, trying to escape. "I don't want to see." "Tell me where Evie is," Pennyworth replied. "Take out the item at the very bottom and you'll know." Holding his breath, Julian took out the bottommost item. The next second, his pupils constricted. Divorce certificate. Before Pennyworth could speak, he muttered to himself, "Impossible. Evie and I didn't go through divorce procedures. This certificate isn't real." Pennyworth looked at him. "Mr. Blackwood, the divorce certificate is real. 10 days ago, you signed the divorce agreement, agreeing to divorce the madam." Julian shook his head in denial. "Nonsense, I didn't sign." Suddenly, a fragment flashed in his mind. 10 nights ago, he returned home from a social event. Half drunk, Evelyn brought a document for him to sign. He thought it was company business and signed it without thinking. So that document was the divorce agreement, but why would Evie want to divorce him? Julian stepped forward and grabbed Pennyworth's collar. "The madam has left." "Where did she go?" Pennyworth shook his head. "She didn't say. I don't know." Tiffany Vane appeared out of nowhere, grabbing Julian's arm. "Julian, if Evelyn left, then she left. You still have me." Julian seemed unable to hear her. His face iron green, he interrogated Pennyworth. "You definitely know. Will you speak or not?" Pennyworth had never seen Julian so out of control. "Mr. Blackwood, don't be anxious. The madam has one last gift for you." As his voice fell, the large screen on the stage lit up. It started playing the video of him and Tiffany doing it on the villa floor, 5 minutes long, the content incredibly explicit. Julian froze in place, his face pale as a ghost. Evie knew long ago. That was why she deliberately tricked him into signing the divorce agreement that night. He recalled the events of these past days. No wonder he always felt Evie was a bit strange. It wasn't an illusion. He had been too confident, certain he had hidden it well. Now his Evie was angry. What should he do? Tiffany kept screaming for someone to turn off the screen, but no one paid her any attention. It wasn't over. The screen flickered and switched to a PowerPoint presentation playing automatically. It was the chat history between Evelyn and Tiffany. Besides verbal provocations, Tiffany frequently sent her all kinds of obscene photos and videos. Finally, it was the photo of Julian holding a baby, accompanied by Tiffany's triumphant audio. "Evelyn Sterling, did you see? Our family of 3 is very warm and happy. Everyone is blessing us. You are just the third wheel. If I were you, I'd get lost as soon as possible. Julian also said all his personal assets go to you, but the entire Blackwood family fortune is reserved for my son." The full 180 pages of the PPT finished playing, freezing on the divorce certificate of Julian and Evelyn. The guests sitting below discussed animatedly. "My God, Julian Blackwood not only cheated but had a child with the mistress. I've seen mistresses, but never one so shameless. This Tiffany Vane is too arrogant." The people attending tonight, besides business elites, included several of Evelyn's friends. They were indignant. "No wonder Evie didn't come tonight. I wouldn't come either. The scumbag pretending to be devoted. How disgusting. Thank goodness Evie divorced him." Good riddance. Seeing those chat logs, Julian's expression changed drastically. He suddenly turned around and reached out to strangle Tiffany's neck. His eyes red, he said, "Didn't I tell you that I could give you anything you wanted, but not to let Evie know about our relationship? How dare you provoke her again and again? Who gave you the nerve?" He dared not imagine Evelyn's feelings when she received these photos and videos. How sad and heartbroken she must have been in the corners he couldn't see. How much had she endured? Tiffany didn't expect Evelyn to have saved such a move. She was already gone, yet she released all the chat records. "That bitch," she cried and explained. "Julian, I didn't mean to. I just love you too much. I wanted to marry you and be with you forever." The strength in Julian's hand gradually tightened, his appearance crazed. "My only wife is Evie. You are not worthy. You dared treat Evie like that. I'll kill you." Victoria Blackwood, standing nearby, hurriedly pulled his arm. "Julian, stop quickly. You'll kill someone." Chloe also tried to stop him. "Brother, let go. You'll strangle sister-in-law to death." Julian glared coldly. "Shut up, your sister-in-law can only be Evie." Chloe was startled by him and immediately fell silent. Victoria continued to persuade, "If you strangle Tiffany to death, the child won't have a mother." Thinking of the child, Julian withdrew his hand. Seeing Tiffany collapsing on the floor coughing violently, he said with a ruthless look in his eyes, "If not for the child's sake, I really would have killed you." Tiffany looked at Julian in disbelief. In that moment just now, he really wanted to strangle her. Mr. Blackwood SR ordered the hotel staff to forcibly turn off the PPT. Only then did the farce end completely. The guests gradually left. Julian sat weakly in a chair, his whole being exuding an aura of wretchedness. Assistant Pennyworth picked up the divorce certificate that had fallen on the ground and placed it back in Julian's hand. "Mr. Blackwood, the madam asked me to pass on a message to you." Julian's eyes lit up instantly. Pennyworth looked at his expectant gaze, almost afraid to speak. "Madam said you lied to her for 3 years. She lied to you once today. From now on, you owe each other nothing. Never to meet again." A dull pain surged in Julian's heart. Looking down at the divorce certificate in his hand, he couldn't help his eyes turning red. No, he had to find Evie. He had to win her back. He couldn't lose her. Evie loved him. She wouldn't really bear to leave him. Thinking of this, he stood up abruptly and took out his phone to make a call. "I'll give you 10 minutes. Find out where the madam is right now." In less than 10 minutes, Julian received a call. The person on the other end reported tremblingly, "Mr. Blackwood, the madam took a flight to New York 3 hours ago, but..." Julian's brow furrowed tight. "But what?" "The flight the madam was on had an accident. The entire plane crashed. The madam is dead." Julian's pupils dilated to their limit, and he subconsciously retorted, "Impossible. You're talking nonsense." "Evie won't die." His fingers holding the phone trembled incessantly. Suddenly, his vision went black and he fainted abruptly. When he woke up, he found himself lying in a hospital bed. He pulled out the IV drip. "I'm going to find Evie." He ran out of the hospital like a madman. The doctors and nurses couldn't stop him. Julian didn't believe Evelyn was dead. He took a rescue team to the crash site to search. He muttered to himself as he searched, "Evie is usually afraid of pain. I can't even imagine how much it hurt falling from the plane. She's waiting for me to save her. I must find her. Evie, don't be afraid. I'm coming to save you soon." But after searching for 2 consecutive days, there was no sign of Evelyn. The rescue personnel looked at him unbearably. "Mr. Blackwood, the flight Mrs. Blackwood was on indeed suffered an accident. The plane crashed and all passengers died. Please accept our condolences." Julian shouted with bloodshot eyes, "Shut up, don't curse her. You are not allowed to go back until you find Evie." The rescue team could only brace themselves and continue searching. But still to no avail. Julian hadn't slept for 3 days. He slumped on the ground. Thinking of Evelyn, his heart hurt as if it were about to split open. He shouldn't have cheated with Tiffany, violating his promise of being a couple for life. It was all his fault. He regretted it so much Victoria hugged him and cried. "Evelyn dying isn't your fault. It was her own bad luck. Stop torturing yourself." Julian emphasized, "Mom, Evie isn't dead. Believe me, I can sense she's still alive. She wouldn't abandon me. Evie won't die. She's just angry with me and hiding on purpose." He even called Evelyn's friend, Beatrice Sharp, wanting to find any clue that Evelyn was still alive so he could hold on. Beatrice cursed, "Julian Blackwood, you scumbag, you still dare to call me. Evie loved you so much, yet you messed around with another woman. Are you disgusting or what?" Julian explained, "It's not like that. I love Evie truly." Beatrice interrupted him disdainfully. "I spit on that. If you loved Evie, would you cheat, keep a mistress, and have a child? Don't tarnish the word love. You knew how hard Evie tried to be with you back then, yet you failed her, you heartless man." The Blackwood family despised Evelyn's background. Coupled with the fact she hadn't conceived after years of marriage, the family never gave her a pleasant face. But she never complained, working hard to improve herself to fit into Julian's circle. Years ago, Julian nearly lost a leg saving her, but no one knew Evelyn cried until she fainted, caring for him day and night in the hospital. Later, she accompanied him through rehab, acting as his legs. All these years, she gave silently. The world only knew Julian was devoted, unaware that the love Evelyn returned was equally moving. Beatrice saw all of this. "You even let that woman have the child. Do you know how hard Evie tried to conceive your child? She looked everywhere for traditional medicine doctors, trying to regulate her body, getting acupuncture and drinking herbal medicine. She suffered so much and wouldn't let me tell you because she was afraid you'd worry." Beatrice got angrier the more she spoke. "Julian, deep affection that comes too late is cheaper than grass. Love that arrives late is detested even by dogs. Now that Evie has passed away, no matter how much you regret, you will never have the chance to make it up to her in this life. Get lost. Don't call me again." The blood drained completely from Julian's face. At the same time, Assistant Pennyworth called to notify him, "Mr. Blackwood, before leaving, the madam instructed me to donate all your assets. I just finished the procedures." That meant Julian lost all his personal wealth overnight. Receiving this news, Julian wasn't angry at all. If it could bring Evie back, let alone bankruptcy, even if it cost his life, he would give it. He wanted nothing. He only wanted his Evie back. But judging from the donation of assets, Evie really hated him. "Assistant Pennyworth, did Evie have any other words for me?" Pennyworth on the other end of the phone sighed secretly. "No." Julian covered his face with his hands, tears spilling through his fingers. His inner pain was unspeakable. He didn't love Tiffany. He was only obsessed with her body. The person he truly loved was only Evie. Every night when he returned home, looking at the empty bedroom, everything related to Evelyn was gone, including clothes, jewelry, skincare products, and daily necessities. She had completely disappeared from his world. His heart felt hollowed out, the pain seeping into his marrow, making even breathing difficult. So he had people buy many clothes suitable for Evelyn and various skincare products, creating an illusion that Evelyn was still at home. Julian became extremely decadent. He couldn't sleep well. As soon as he slept, he had nightmares of Evelyn lying on the ground covered in blood, and he would wake up scared. He took out his phone, opened the album, and found photos of Evelyn. Stroking her face with his finger, he murmured, "Evie, I love you. Come back quickly, okay?" Tears smashed onto the phone screen. Before, he thought the ancient saying missing someone could break one's heart was an exaggeration. Now, having experienced it, he knew how unbearable this feeling was worse than death. He could only numb himself with alcohol, drinking as soon as he opened his eyes. When Tiffany walked in holding the child, she saw Julian drunk as a skunk. Although Julian nearly choked her to death that day, she didn't give up. It was hard enough waiting for Evelyn to die. She had to seize the opportunity to marry into the Blackwood family. Then her son would inherit the entire Blackwood family fortune. She walked up to Julian and said gently, "Julian, stop drinking. Drinking too much is bad for your health." In a trance, Julian seemed to see Evelyn. Only Evie would be this gentle. He stood up in surprise. "Evie, you're back." Tiffany's face froze, forcing a sliver of a smile. "Julian, it's me, not Evelyn Sterling." Seeing clearly that the person standing in front of him was Tiffany, the light in Julian's eyes dimmed bit by bit. He tipped his head back to take a drink and said with disgust, "Get out." Naturally, Tiffany wouldn't obediently listen. "Evelyn is really dead, just accept this fact. From now on, our family of 3 will live well. Look at our son, he was very good today, he wants Daddy to hug him." Not knowing which word triggered Julian, he suddenly reached out and choked Tiffany's neck. The child in her arms was frightened and wailed. Julian glanced at it and shouted for the nanny to take the child out. Once the child was taken out, he threw Tiffany to the ground, his eyes tainted with murderous intent. "It's all you. If you hadn't exposed our affair to Evie, she wouldn't have divorced me. You still have the face to say these things?" Tiffany stood up, reaching out to touch his face, tears streaming down her face. "Julian, I love you. What's wrong with wanting to be with you? Look at me properly. Where am I inferior to Evelyn?" Years ago at the banquet, she just splashed a glass of red wine on Evelyn, and Julian ruined her family. She was unwilling, so she climbed into his bed while he was drunk, originally intending to destroy their relationship and take revenge on Julian. But Julian was generous to her, never treating her poorly materially, and they were compatible in bed. Gradually, she fell in love with him, sprouting the idea of wanting to marry him. Julian swatted her hand away, furious. "Your mistake was provoking Evie. What are you to compare with her? 10 of you couldn't compare to a single strand of her hair. From beginning to end, the person I loved was only Evie. If not for you, she wouldn't have left me, wouldn't have gotten on that plane. You killed Evie. Give Evie back to me." Tiffany couldn't bear it anymore. She shouted hysterically, "Julian, the one who killed Evelyn was you, not me. You were the one who met me behind her back again and again. You were the one who allowed me to have the child. You were the one who designed a wedding dress for me yourself, letting me enjoy the same treatment as her. That's why she was disappointed in you and divorced you. If you could have controlled your body, not been seduced by me, not slept with me, I wouldn't have had the chance to send photos and videos to her or provoke her. You were clearly at fault too, but now you push all the responsibility onto me." Julian froze, his expression gradually becoming painful. Those days, he did sense Evelyn had strange emotions. On the eve of their anniversary, she even made a special trip back to her hometown and wouldn't let him drive her. The day she left, she dodged his kiss, and even the look in her eyes was like a farewell. He wasn't completely oblivious, but he was busy going to see Tiffany then and kept finding excuses to ignore it. His gaze returned to Tiffany, his voice gloomy. "I let you have the child because Evie's health is poor, and I couldn't bear for her to suffer. You were just a breeding tool, nothing more." Hearing Julian say she was just a breeding tool, Tiffany completely broke down. She laughed unscrupulously, "But she's dead. Evelyn is dead. You'll never see her again in this life." Julian raised his hand and slapped her heavily. "Shut up, I told you to shut up." He grabbed Tiffany by the collar. "You want to marry me? In your dreams?" After speaking, he slapped her again. The force was immense. Tiffany's face was slapped red and swollen, blood spilling from the corner of her lips. But Tiffany was unwilling. Every day she used various means to seduce Julian. Julian was extremely repulsed. The once young and beautiful skin now looked not only annoying, but disgusting and nauseating. He forbade Tiffany from entering the villa again. To marry into the Blackwood family, Tiffany turned around and went to Victoria Blackwood, using the child as a reason to make the Blackwood family acknowledge her. Victoria wasn't a pushover either. She told her bluntly, "Of course, I will acknowledge the child you gave birth to since he's of Blackwood blood. But whether you have the ability to marry Julian depends on yourself." Victoria looked down on Evelyn and likewise looked down on the now destitute Tiffany. She only wanted the grandson. In the end, Tiffany chose to stay in the Blackwood household. She had no title, but she didn't care. She only wanted the money. Chicago. Evelyn sat on the sofa checking her phone. That day, she didn't board the plane. She had a sudden stomach ache so severe she couldn't stand straight and could only stay in the lounge. Only after taking medicine did she buy a ticket for the next flight, successfully arriving in Chicago first before heading to New York. Her aunt sent someone to pick her up and take her to the estate. Before coming, Evelyn had briefly mentioned her situation with Julian on the phone. Seeing her aunt, she had many things she wanted to say, but the words choked in her throat. Aunt Margaret eyes. Actually, her aunt hadn't approved of her being with Julian back then, only agreeing because she insisted. Her aunt hugged her, saying gently, "Don't think too much. Auntie supports whatever decision you make. Ending a wrong marriage is a good thing for you. Julian isn't a good match. Be glad you divorced successfully." Evelyn nodded. Her aunt had always been open-minded and understanding. Her uncle, a man of few words, also comforted her. "You're still young and talented. The future holds many possibilities. Your aunt and I will be your strongest shield." "Thank you, uncle." Years ago, her aunt and uncle immigrated to the U.S. to do business and now ran several companies. After resting for a week, her aunt arranged for her to work in the company. All these years, her focus had been on Julian. From now on, she wanted to live properly for herself. Later, she saw the news and learned that the flight she originally booked had an accident, and no passengers survived. While feeling lucky, she also felt sad for those who died. Life is impermanent, one must live in the moment. Now, although she was busy off her feet, she was fulfilled and happy. She had studied business management. The company Julian opened for her had been managed well under her, and she had planned to expand into other businesses. But later, the Blackwood family didn't want her to be too prominent and wanted her to be a housewife, so she stepped back and didn't expand the company's scale. Now at her aunt's company, without those constraints, she would definitely achieve her dreams and create a business world of her own. After settling down, she contacted her friends back home. The only close one was Beatrice, whom she trusted relatively well. Beatrice told her that Julian thought she was on that crashed plane and was dead. Evelyn thought to herself, "This is good. Julian won't come looking for me. We are cut off, never to meet again." Beatrice continued, "But Evie, Julian doesn't believe you're dead. He's still looking for you everywhere." Evelyn's tone was very light. "Ignore him, I won't see him again anyway." At the same time, Jiang City. Julian still hadn't given up searching for Evelyn, but more than half a month passed, and the answer he got was the same: Evelyn died in the air disaster. There was no miracle. Julian was in utter despair. In the dead of night, he slit his wrists to commit suicide. Watching the blood spill from his wrist, he smiled, as if released. He murmured low, "Evie, I said if you died, I wouldn't live alone." Without Evie, there was no meaning in living. Julian didn't die. The servants found him in time and sent him to the hospital for rescue. When he woke up, Victoria nearly fainted from crying. "How could you commit suicide for Evelyn? What if you really died? Did you ever think about us?" Seeing Julian become like this, even attempting suicide, Chloe realized just how much he loved Evelyn. "Brother, stop doing stupid things. Even if you don't think of yourself, think of Mom and Dad and me." Mr. Blackwood SR looked at Julian, anger rising from nowhere. "Committing suicide over a woman, you've completely disgraced the Blackwood family." Julian had no reaction at all, like a puppet with its soul sucked out. Seeing this, his father was furious to the extreme, raising his fist to punch him in the face. Victoria stopped him. "Julian is already like this. Why hit him? I'll beat this useless waste to death." Julian looked despondent. "Don't worry about me. I just want to accompany Evie. I don't want to live." "Dad, beat me to death." If not for Victoria and Chloe stopping him, his father might really have beaten Julian to death. He couldn't accept his once proud son becoming a waste. Beatrice found out and called Evelyn. Evie, I heard Julian slit his wrists. He said he wanted to accompany you. If the servants hadn't found him, he might really be dead. I didn't realize he was so devoted. Julian's regret wasn't worth touching in Beatrice's eyes, but the fact he slit his wrists to follow Evelyn did surprise her. Evelyn turned to look out the window, the emotion in her eyes as plain as water. She didn't care about Julian anymore. Whether he lived or died had nothing to do with her. I don't love him anymore. On the other end of the phone, Beatrice instantly understood her meaning. Cheating happens 0 times or countless times. So what if Julian loved her now? Only cherishing after losing was meaningless. Besides, the pain brought by betrayal might take a lifetime to heal. Spilled water cannot be gathered up. She was momentarily confused to ask Evie that. I understand, Evie, don't be sad. You deserve a better man. It's Julian who isn't good enough for you. Evelyn smiled without speaking. They chatted about other topics before hanging up. Life continued to be busy, especially since she had 2 big projects waiting to launch. She had to ensure nothing went wrong. Just before getting off work, Evelyn received a call from her aunt asking her to come to a Western restaurant near the company for dinner. She packed up and went over. She thought it would just be the 2 of them eating, but as soon as she sat down, she heard her aunt say, "Wait a moment, the guest hasn't arrived yet." As her aunt's voice fell, a man in a dark gray coat appeared before her eyes. He nodded to greet her aunt. Her aunt introduced with a smile, "Harrison, this is my niece, Evelyn." The man's gaze turned to her, extending his hand elegantly. "Hello, Miss Sterling, I am Harrison Wentworth." Evelyn shook his hand. "Hello." Looking at the handsome and steady man, she held her forehead and smiled faintly. So this meal wasn't meeting a client, but a blind date. She instantly felt awkward. She sat through the meal on pins and needles, wishing it would end sooner. When it finally ended, she felt a huge burden lifted. Back home, her aunt briefly explained Harrison's family background. Harrison was born into a prestigious family and graduated from Cambridge University. Unlike typical rich second generations, he was capable and smart. He didn't choose to inherit the family business, but took money from his parents to start his own business in New York. Now he was doing famously in business circles. Among the young talents, Harrison appeared particularly outstanding. Her aunt asked her, "Evie, what do you think of Harrison? Judging by his behavior tonight, he seems to have a good impression of you." Before introducing you, I asked around. Harrison's private life is clean. I've never heard of any messy scandals. He seems grounded and reliable. Evelyn didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Aunt Margaret, I don't want to date right now. I just want to focus my energy on work." Her aunt nodded and sighed. "I know. I'm not trying to force you to be with him, but sooner or later I will leave. I'm not at ease leaving you alone in this world. So while I can, I want to help you pick someone you can entrust your life to. If you don't like Harrison, I'll arrange other men for you to meet." "Auntie, Her aunt interrupted Evelyn. "All right, just get to know Harrison first. If it doesn't work, tell me." Evelyn was helpless. Her aunt went for a checkup a few days ago and found a minor heart issue, so she started worrying about her. "Auntie, the doctor said your heart is fine. Don't worry." Her aunt held her hand, speaking earnestly. "I'm not worried, but thinking that if something happens to me one day, the person I'm most worried about is you." Evelyn could understand her aunt's feelings, but having just experienced a failed marriage, she really had no interest in dating, even though Harrison's conditions were good in all aspects. The next day, Evelyn made an appointment to meet Harrison directly and got straight to the point. "Mr. Wentworth, I apologize. I don't want to talk about feelings right now. I just want to live and work well." Harrison chuckled lightly. "Miss Sterling, to be honest, I have no interest in marriage either. However, my family is pushing hard." He paused for a moment and continued, "I think we can cooperate. You can avoid the trouble of continued blind dates, and I can answer to my family." Evelyn was puzzled. "Cooperate?" Harrison looked at her. "We can pretend to date." Evelyn understood. This was indeed a good solution, and her aunt wouldn't introduce new dates to her. Thus, she and Harrison began pretending to date. Usually after work, they would arrange to eat together or watch a movie, just like a normal couple. Harrison would also send her gifts, mostly jewelry, quite standard. The flowers he sent, however, were ones she liked. "How did you know I like tulips?" Aside from those close to her, generally no one knew she liked tulips. Harrison raised an eyebrow. "I didn't know." I bought them randomly. Women usually like roses, but I think roses are tacky and don't suit you. Evelyn looked at his casual manner and thought he might really have bought them randomly and just happened to pick the flower she liked. She lowered her head to smell the flowers, revealing a faint smile. Harrison's gaze paused on her face, the corner of his lips hooking up. Her aunt was very happy knowing she was with Harrison. After about a month, her aunt asked her to bring Harrison home for dinner on the weekend. Harrison naturally agreed. Soon it was the weekend. The atmosphere at the dinner table was quite harmonious. Harrison was very appropriate in front of the elders, talking eloquently, completely unlike the casual manner he had in front of her. When guests came to the house, it was usually a mix of Western and Chinese food. Evelyn liked spicy food very much, but her stomach wasn't great. Eating too much spice would cause stomach pain. She reached out to press her abdomen, her brows knitting together. Her aunt asked, "Evie, what's wrong?" "My stomach hurts a little." Her aunt had someone bring medicine and water. Harrison took them and fed the medicine into Evelyn's mouth. Evelyn subconsciously wanted to stop his action, but thinking her aunt and uncle were present, she could only take the medicine from his hand. Harrison looked at her pale face. "You have a bad stomach, yet you eat so much spice. Do you think your stomach doesn't hurt enough?" Evelyn shot him a glance. She leaned in close and whispered, "Can you be a bit gentler? Careful, or I'll dump you." Harrison suddenly reached out and put his arm around her waist. Evelyn stiffened all over and looked up at him. Harrison's expression didn't change, mouthing to her, "We have to go all the way with the act." He placed his hand on her abdomen and rubbed gently. "Does it still hurt?" "It's okay." Evelyn's body was rigid. She almost gritted her teeth as she said to him, "That's enough. Take your paws off." Harrison quit while he was ahead and didn't push his luck. Seeing the affection between the young couple, Evelyn's aunt and uncle were very gratified. Because Harrison had given her many gifts, Evelyn thought about returning the favor. She couldn't let him spend money all the time. However, not knowing his preferences, she dragged him to the mall. "Miss Sterling, as my girlfriend, you should understand my taste." "What do you mean?" Harrison said stiffly. "My clothes are all custom-made. I never buy from malls." "I didn't say I had to buy you clothes. You can pick something else. All my personal items are custom-made." Evelyn instantly wanted to roll her eyes, but remembering she was a lady, she held back. At first, she thought Harrison was a gallant noble, gentle and refined. After interacting these few days, she discovered he was very two-faced and had a sharp tongue. "So are you picking something or not?" "Picking." But Harrison picked for a long time without settling on anything. Evelyn randomly chose a tie for him. Harrison didn't refuse. He chuckled lightly, implying, "I heard women giving men ties means they want to tie them down." Evelyn swore she had no intention of tying him down at all. "If you don't like it, pick something else." Saying that, she reached out to take the tie back, but Harrison dodged her hand. "No need to change. I like ties." Walking out of the store, Evelyn noticed the corners of Harrison's mouth were consistently upturned. He seemed to be in a good mood. Across the way, Chloe was chatting with a friend. Suddenly, she saw Evelyn. She was shocked, raising her hand to rub her eyes. She simply couldn't believe who she was seeing. Evelyn wasn't dead. She hurriedly took out her phone to take a photo and then called Julian. As soon as it connected, she said excitedly, "Brother, I saw Evelyn Sterling in New York. She's not dead. She's still alive." Julian stood up excitedly from his chair. "Are you telling the truth?" Chloe originally supported Tiffany, but gradually realized she was just after the Blackwood money and kept causing trouble. She wasn't as good as Evelyn. "Yes, I was shopping with a friend and saw her with my own eyes. I even took a photo. I'll send it to you now." The next second, Chloe sent the photo. The angle was a bit blurry, but Julian recognized Evelyn at a glance. He had loved her for 8 years and was incredibly familiar with her silhouette. Then he remembered Evelyn's aunt was in New York. Why hadn't he guessed sooner? It didn't matter. As long as Evie was alive, that was good. He would find a way to get Evie back to his side. Looking at the photo, he smiled foolishly. "I knew Evie wouldn't die." Immediately following, he scrambled to call his secretary. "Book me a ticket to New York, the fastest one." Chloe hung up the phone. Looking at the man beside Evelyn, they looked like boyfriend and girlfriend. If her brother knew, he would definitely go crazy. Walking out of the mall and getting into the car, Evelyn fastened her seatbelt and said, "I'm going back to my hometown for a few days." Let's contact each other when I get back. The anniversary of her grandfather's death was coming up, and she wanted to go back to visit him. Harrison started the car. I'll go back with you. Evelyn was surprised. Why? Harrison raised an eyebrow. I want to rest recently. Treat it as a vacation. Seeing she didn't speak, he teased, What, you're unwilling to take me back? Am I that unpresentable? Evelyn was amused by him. I was worried a young master like you wouldn't be used to living in our small place. Harrison laughed along. Don't worry, I'm not that delicate. Hearing the news that Evelyn wasn't dead, Tiffany was furious. Although Julian refused to marry her, the Blackwood elders valued her son and let her live in the Blackwood house. Except for the title, she had everything. As long as Julian didn't marry another woman and have children, her son would be the sole heir to the Blackwood family. Evelyn wasn't dead. If she returned to Julian's side, it would inevitably affect them, mother and son. No, she had to find a way to get rid of Evelyn. That way she could get the Blackwood family fortune. When Julian arrived in New York with maximum speed, Evelyn had just boarded a plane. He didn't know and went immediately to Evelyn's aunt's address after finding it. Outside the estate, he spoke sincerely. Miss Sterling, I want to see Evie. Please let me see her. Margaret Sterling looked at him coldly. Julian, you know in your heart how you treated Evie. You are not welcome here. Not to mention Evie isn't home. Even if she were, I wouldn't let her see you. Get lost? At first, Julian thought she was lying to him. Only after having someone investigate did he find out Evelyn was indeed not in New York right now. She had returned to her hometown. He immediately booked a flight back, but due to weather issues, the flight was repeatedly delayed. Here, Evelyn brought Harrison to her hometown. Mr. Wentworth, my home is quite humble. If you really aren't used to it, you can go to the city and stay in a hotel. We can go back together when I'm done. No need. Just arriving home, they met a neighbor, a 70-year-old grandmother. Evie, is this your husband? He's so handsome. The grandmother only knew Evelyn was married, but hadn't seen her husband. Harrison smiled faintly. Grandma, I'm Evie's boyfriend. Whether I become her husband depends on when she's willing to give me the title. The grandmother was confused, vaguely remembering Evelyn was married, so how did it become boyfriend? She laughed cheerfully. Evie, such a handsome young man is hard to find. You have to hold on tight. Harrison's smile deepened. Hear that? Grandma told you to hold on tight. Hearing this, Evelyn's face felt hot. She nudged him gently with her arm and whispered, Don't talk nonsense. Harrison was serious. I'm stating facts. Evelyn pulled him into the house. Looking at the furnishings inside, Harrison realized Evelyn's earlier words were no exaggeration. If she hadn't brought him, he probably would never have set foot in such a place in his life. Countryside was countryside, but the fresh air and scenery were a different kind of fun compared to the busy big city. After putting down the luggage, Harrison asked Evelyn to show him around. Seeing his interest, Evelyn naturally satisfied him. She took him around everywhere. Harrison, usually acting like a noble, acted like he hadn't seen the world here, finding everything fresh. Evelyn felt charitable and awarded him a candied hawthorn stick. Harrison looked at the candied hawthorn in his hand and asked curiously, Can this thing be eaten? Evelyn laughed. Give it back if you won't eat it. Saying that, she tried to snatch the stick from his hand. Harrison raised his hand high. Shortcake you can't reach. Evelyn was annoyed and jumped to grab it. The two of them frolicked like this. Harrison played a game of chase with her, enjoying himself. Suddenly, a van drove straight toward Evelyn. Harrison had quick eyes and hands, grabbing Evelyn. Watch out! Due to inertia, Harrison hugged her and rolled on the ground several times. But Evelyn was firmly protected in his arms and wasn't injured. When they stood up again, the van had already driven far away. She looked at the back of Harrison's hand bleeding. You're hurt. Harrison smiled faintly. A small scratch, no harm. Evelyn looked at him. She didn't expect that while he looked pampered, he wasn't fussy at all. After returning, she found iodine and medicinal powder to treat his wound. In the evening, Evelyn sat alone in the courtyard. Thinking of that van, the speed was so fast it was obviously intentional. Harrison handed her a cup of coffee. What are you thinking about? Evelyn took the coffee. I'm thinking if that van today was deliberately trying to hit me. Harrison pondered for a moment. The appearance of that van was indeed strange. I'll have someone investigate. Evelyn looked at him. Thank you for saving me today. If not for you, I'd definitely be lying in a hospital bed right now." Harrison knew she was somewhat scared. To ease the atmosphere, he hooked his thin lips into a smile. "Miss Sterling can repay me with her body." Seeing him being improper again, Evelyn really wanted to hit him. The next day, Evelyn prepared to go to the cemetery to pay respects to her grandfather. Harrison followed to go along. After being abandoned by her parents, Evelyn was taken back by her aunt. But her aunt was usually busy with work and couldn't be home every day to take care of her. Most of the time, it was her grandfather accompanying her. Even later, when he was hospitalized, he still worried about her. Harrison looked at Evelyn, who was spacing out, and knew she must be thinking of something unpleasant. So he looked at the photo on the tombstone and said, "Grandpa, rest assured. She is living very well now. With me here, I will take good care of her." Evelyn turned to look at him in confusion. They weren't a real couple. Harrison didn't look at her but looked up at the weather. It seemed like it was about to rain. "Let's go back." Evelyn nodded. The two went down the mountain together. Arriving at the house door, they saw a figure standing in front. It was Julian. Evelyn didn't expect him to find his way here. Julian turned and saw Evelyn, his eyes instantly turning red. His eyes stared tightly at her, unwilling to look away even a bit, afraid she would disappear if he blinked. "Evie?" Evelyn's expression was flat, without any ripples. Looking at him was like looking at a stranger. Julian walked up to Evelyn, tears falling. "Evie, I missed you so much. Come home with me, okay?" Seeing Julian again, Evelyn's mood was calmer than she imagined. Compared to before, the current Julian seemed like a different person. No longer high-spirited, his whole being exuded a decaying aura, as if he had aged significantly. "Julian, have you forgot? We are already divorced. We aren't husband and wife anymore." Julian's heart shook violently. "I'm sorry, I failed you. I know I was wrong. Will you forgive me? I missed you so much. Without you, I don't know how to live. Every day has been painful. No matter how you want to punish me, it's fine, but I beg you to come back to me. I can't lose you. I've been tormented every day in so much pain." Evelyn sneered. "Julian, don't you understand yet? I don't love you anymore." Julian's mind went blank, as if unable to comprehend her words. "Why don't you love me?" "Impossible. We agreed we would only love each other in this life. I know you're just saying angry words." Evelyn's expression grew colder. He broke the rose with his own hands and now asked her why the rose withered. Truly laughable. But now she couldn't be bothered to waste words with him. She turned to leave. Julian grabbed her hand, bent his knees, and knelt down, crying bitterly in repentance. "I never loved Tiffany. I had no feelings for her at all. I just wanted to use her to have a child. It's not like you think. She couldn't possibly replace you. You are the woman I love most. Evie, I know I shouldn't have cheated and had relations with her, making you sad. I deserve to die." As he spoke, he raised his hand and slapped his own face until the corner of his mouth bled. Evelyn had never seen such a humble Julian, not even when he was pursuing her back then. But so what? Once the wound is seen, the scar has already healed. The Evelyn who loved him deeply in the past was dead. The current her was reborn. "Julian, listen clearly. We are divorced. Who you love has nothing to do with me." With that, she walked around him toward the house without hesitation. Julian wanted to chase her but was blocked by Harrison. "If you're still a man, you should know you have no right to ask for her forgiveness right now." Harrison hadn't met Julian, but from their conversation, he deduced his identity. Evelyn's ex-husband. Julian looked at him with displeasure. "This is between me and Evie. It has nothing to do with you." Harrison narrowed his dark eyes, warning, "Evie is my girlfriend now. If you continue to harass her, don't blame me for being impolite." Julian retorted without thinking. "Impossible. The person Evie loves is me. She won't be with another man." Harrison scoffed. "You could cheat within marriage, keep a mistress, and have a child. Why can't she find true love?" Julian froze in place. Suddenly, the sky poured down rain. Harrison quickly entered the house. Julian remained standing in place, unmoving. Letting the rain soak him, he eventually fell ill. It was the neighbor grandmother who found people to send him to a nearby clinic. When Julian woke up, he came to find Evelyn again, holding her favorite osmanthus cake. "Evie, this is your favorite osmanthus cake. I had someone deliver it specially." Evelyn ignored him. Julian took out a small piece of cake to feed her. "Taste it quickly." Evelyn slapped his hand away in disgust, and the cake fell to the ground. Julian stunned for a few seconds, then smiled again. Evie, do you not like osmanthus cake anymore? Then let's go home, and I'll make other delicious things for you. Evelyn was icy cold. Julian, stop bothering me. I don't want to see you. Do you understand? Julian looked at her with a hurt expression. Evie, I'm sincerely apologizing to you. I love you. Please don't give up on me. Evelyn mocked. Julian, at this point, do you think saying you love me means anything? If you loved me, you wouldn't have cheated and lied to me, sleeping with Tiffany again and again. If this is your so-called love, then your love is truly dirty. Julian couldn't defend himself. I know you won't believe anything I say now, but I will use time to prove my words are true. I beg you not to choose to be with another man just to spite me. The other man he referred to should be Harrison. Even knowing he misunderstood, Evelyn had no intention of clarifying. Instead, she went along with it. My being with another man is just out of spite? Your ego is huge. I never joke with my own happiness. Harrison is very good. He's different from you. Also, whoever I'm with is my freedom. You have no right to interfere. Julian couldn't accept her loving someone else. Choking back tears, he said, Evie, I love you. Come back, okay? I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Evelyn said coldly, I don't need your compensation. I just want you to disappear. After speaking, she turned and left. Julian looked at her back and shouted, Evie, I won't give up. Evelyn didn't look back. Tiffany didn't expect Evelyn's life to be so tough. She had people try to hit her twice, but neither killed her, so she planned to do it herself. In the morning, Evelyn got up to go buy groceries. Just as she turned a corner, a hand popped out from behind and covered her mouth. Her body gradually lost strength and she fainted. When Harrison woke up, he found Evelyn wasn't home. He took out his phone to call her, but it wouldn't connect. Thinking of the van that almost hit her 2 days ago, he felt inexplicably panicked. He quickly put on his coat. As soon as he opened the door, he bumped into Julian. Holding a bouquet of tulips, Julian grabbed Harrison. Where is Evie? Harrison was burning with anxiety and had no time to deal with him. Julian guessed something. Frowning, he asked, Did something happen to Evie? Harrison shook off his hand, walking out quickly while making a call. Evie is missing. Check her current location and send it to me. Julian's head buzzed, and the tulips in his hand fell to the ground. He quickly followed Harrison. By the seaside, when Evelyn woke up, she found her hands tied. A thought popped into her mind. Was she kidnapped? Before she could think more, Tiffany raised her hand and slapped her. Why won't you die, you bitch? Evelyn frowned tight. Tiffany, what do you want to do? Tiffany laughed wildly. Of course I want you to die. Tiffany, doing this is illegal. Aren't you afraid of legal sanctions? If you jump into the sea yourself, what does it have to do with me? Tiffany pinched her face, speaking viciously. There's no one here. If you die here, no one will know I did it. Evelyn connected the dots and asked, Did you order the van the other day? Thinking it over, only Tiffany would want her dead. Tiffany admitted, It was me. Pity it didn't kill you. Evelyn looked at her angrily. You're truly crazy. Tiffany didn't care. Evelyn Sterling, your time is up. Let's see how tough your life is this time. She looked at the big man standing aside. Throw her into the sea. Evelyn struggled desperately, but the rope on her hands was tied dead tight. She had no way to untie it. Let me go, the thug threw Evelyn directly down. In the nick of time, a large palm suddenly appeared and grabbed Evelyn's hand in time, preventing her from falling into the seawater. Harrison held Evelyn's hand tightly. Hold on. Don't let go. Seeing this, Tiffany ordered the thug to go forward and sabotage them. Evelyn absolutely could not come up. However, the thug didn't succeed. Julian arrived with several bodyguards, pinning the thug to the ground. Tiffany wanted to run but couldn't. She was held down firmly, unable to move. Harrison and Julian worked together to pull Evelyn up. Julian subconsciously went to hug her, but Harrison beat him to it. Julian's hand froze in midair. While quickly untying the rope on Evelyn's hands, Harrison asked, How are you? Are you hurt? Evelyn was completely dazed, fear lingering. Looking at Harrison's anxious, handsome face, thinking she almost died just now, her eyes turned red. Julian asked nervously, Evie, say something. Are you hurt somewhere? Evelyn leaned into Harrison's embrace, her eyes held only him. I'm fine, don't worry. Julian's body stiffened. At this moment, he was helpless as a child. His heart sent waves of stinging pain. Before, the person Evelyn relied on most was him. Now she treated him like air, and the person she relied on had become Harrison. Seeing them leaving, Julian called out to Evelyn urgently. "Evie." Evelyn's steps paused, seeming to only then notice Julian, but she only paused for a moment before continuing forward without lingering. Julian felt like a knife was twisting in his heart. He only begged Evelyn to look at him once, but from start to finish, Evelyn didn't look at him once, not even sparing him a glance from the corner of her eye. At this moment, he finally understood he had completely lost Evelyn. Julian looked at Tiffany, a storm gathering in his eyes, ordering the bodyguards sternly. "Throw her down for me." Tiffany was trembling with fear, dropping to her knees with a thud. "Julian, please spare me this once. I won't dare do it again. Please, for the sake of our son, don't kill me. Don't kill me. Let me go." Julian was expressionless. "Leaving you be for the child's sake back then was a mistake. You nearly killed Evie just now. How can I let you go?" Tiffany cried and begged. "Julian, everything I did was for you, for our child. Timmy can't be without a mother. Let me go this time, and I'll never dare touch Evelyn Sterling again." Julian didn't soften. He said coldly, "You wanted money, you wanted anything, fine, but you wanted Evie's life. I can't possibly let you go." Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Chloe calling. He didn't want to answer, but the ringtone was like a death summons, so he answered eventually. "Brother, Mom took Timmy out to play, and they got into a car accident. Come to the hospital quickly." Julian frowned. "Timmy and Mom both got into an accident?" Hearing this, Tiffany seized the chance to grab his wrist. "Julian, Timmy is our child. Nothing can happen to him. Take me to the hospital quickly, okay?" Julian and Tiffany immediately drove to the hospital. "Doctor, how is my son's condition?" "The child lost too much blood and needs a transfusion urgently. Because the child's blood type is rare Rh negative, the blood bank is critically low. You need to think of a solution quickly." Julian froze. "What blood type did you say?" the doctor asked in confusion. "Your son is Rh negative." "You didn't know?" Tiffany's face went pale as a sheet, not daring to breathe. She thought she hid it well and Julian would never find out. She didn't expect the son would have a sudden car accident needing a transfusion. Julian turned to look at her. Tiffany's eyes dodged, daring not look at him, her body trembling from fear. Julian suddenly reached out and strangled her neck, pinning her against the wall, his expression like a demon from hell. "You fucking dared to lie to me. He isn't my son at all." Tiffany was terrified, trying to argue. "Number, listen to my explanation." Chloe was confused. "Brother, what do you mean he's not your son?" Julian's face was terrifying. "She and I are both type OB. How could a child born to us be Rh negative?" Chloe was shocked, glaring angrily at the pinned Tiffany. "You dared to use a fake to trick us, and I trusted you so much before." The force in Julian's hand tightened, his eyes full of killing intent. "You seek death." Tiffany's breathing became increasingly difficult. Worried a murder would happen in their hospital, the doctor hurriedly called several colleagues to stop Julian. Although Tiffany wasn't strangled to death, she was barely breathing and fainted. The doctors immediately sent her to the emergency room for rescue. Julian slumped to the floor. He had nothing. Evie didn't want him. Now even the son was fake. He was played by Tiffany thinking of Evelyn. His heart throbbed with pain. Because of a Tiffany full of lies, he lost the woman he loved most. He was truly a fool. This incident was recorded by a passerby and posted online. It sparked heated discussion among netizens, mostly abuse. He destroyed a good home for a mistress, only to end up raising someone else's child. This is the retribution for cheating. Disloyal to marriage, yet setting up a devoted persona. He deserves it. He's a rich heir too. Truly embarrassing us men. Beatrice saw it and forwarded it to Evelyn, mocking Julian severely. She shared the netizens' thoughts, believing Julian brought it on himself. Evelyn didn't feel anything special after watching. From the moment she decided to let go of Julian, their lives no longer had any connection, becoming two irrelevant parallel lines. So she felt neither the pleasure of revenge nor sympathy. It had nothing to do with her. Tiffany didn't die. Julian had someone cut out her tongue and feed it to dogs. "You like lying so much. Don't speak again for the rest of your life." Tiffany became mute, unable to speak. The Blackwood family didn't let her off either, confiscating everything given to her and kicking her out of the city. On the road, Tiffany got into a car accident. The car was destroyed, and she died. In the evening, Evelyn and Harrison ate hot pot. Evelyn swished the meat slices. Harrison took wine out of his luggage. "Will you drink?" Evelyn nodded. So the two of them ate hot pot and drank wine. The next day, dawn broke. Evelyn woke up groggily, finding herself lying on Harrison's abdomen. She stared blankly, scrambling to sit up, but her hand pressed on something it shouldn't have. Harrison hissed. Evelyn's face turned incredibly red. She stammered an apology. "Sorry, I didn't mean to." "I know you didn't mean to. If you broke it, how would you use it in the future?" Evelyn originally felt guilty, but hearing him say that, she picked up the pillow next to her and threw it at him. Harrison grabbed her wrist, his deep eyes staring straight at her. "Murdering your husband." Evelyn's cheeks burned under his stare. Looking down, she realized she wasn't wearing anything. She screamed, hurriedly pulling the blanket to cover her body. "Miss Sterling, we did everything we should and shouldn't do last night. You have to take responsibility for me." Evelyn gritted her teeth in anger. Harrison looked like a talent, but his mouth was unusually snarky. "Last night was just an accident. I won't take it to heart." "You forget it too," Harrison interrupted her leisurely. "I can't forget. You told me to be faster and said." The next second, his mouth was covered by a soft little hand. "Harrison, you're not allowed to say any more. If you take responsibility for me, I won't say it." Evelyn was exasperated but helpless. She could only wrap herself in the blanket and get out of bed to change clothes in the next room. When she came out changed, Harrison was also dressed neatly. "Evelyn, I'm serious. I don't want to play the fake couple game with you anymore. I like you." Facing the suddenly serious Harrison, Evelyn wasn't quite used to it. She looked elsewhere. "Give me some time to think about it." "Okay, 1 minute, I'll wait for you." Evelyn laughed angrily at him. "Harrison, who does that?" She pressed her lips together. "I had a failed marriage before, you know that? I knew about you and Julian long ago." Harrison stared at her. "I don't care about your past. I only care if your present and future include me." "Evelyn, I know you have feelings for me too. Don't deceive yourself. Give me a chance. Try with me, okay?" Evelyn tilted her head and asked, "Why do you like me?" Harrison couldn't resist reaching out to touch her face. "Since the first time I saw you, I was sure I wanted to be with you." Evelyn's eyes darted around, realizing something. No wonder he proposed fake dating to deal with his family. It was a trap waiting for her to jump in. Raising her eyes again to meet his deep, bottomless gaze, her breathing became nervous. "I'm serious. Can you give me some time to consider properly?" Harrison was silent for a while before nodding. They packed their luggage and returned to New York. For several days, Evelyn ignored Harrison. Seeing her dodging him, Harrison couldn't sit still and went directly to find her. At the company. Just after working overtime, Evelyn came out and found her car had broken down. She could only call a taxi to go back. Walking out the main gate, a sedan stopped in front of her. "Miss Sterling, why are you standing here?" Evelyn looked up. It was a client she had worked with recently. "My car broke down." The man sitting in the car smiled. Looking at Evelyn's beautiful face, he said gallantly, "I'll drive you back." Saying that, he got out, walked to the other side, and opened the passenger door. "Please get in." Evelyn checked her phone. Calling a car would take time, and it was late. She nodded and walked over. Before she got in, her arm was pulled back by a force from behind, and she fell into a familiar embrace. Harrison looked coldly at the man standing opposite. "Sorry, my girlfriend doesn't like riding in other people's cars." Then he took Evelyn and drove away. Inside the quiet car, no one spoke until Harrison broke the silence. "Why haven't you been answering my calls these past 2 days?" Evelyn felt he was different tonight than usual, very serious. "I've been busy." Back from the hometown trip, work had piled up. She was indeed busy. "Does it take a lot of time to reply to a message?" Evelyn didn't know how to answer, so she stayed silent. Arriving at the estate gate, the car stopped and the engine cut. Evelyn opened the door. "Thank you for driving me back." Harrison grabbed her hand. "How is your consideration going?" Evelyn looked at him quietly. Harrison got anxious. "Why aren't you speaking?" Evelyn spoke earnestly. "Harrison, I understand your feelings, but I think you should consider carefully. Feelings aren't a game. I've considered very clearly. I want to be with you." Harrison looked at her with firm eyes. "Just because of one failure, do you lack the courage to accept a new relationship? That's unfair to me." Evelyn bit her lip, thought for a moment, and said, "Okay." Only then did a smile touch Harrison's lips. He reached out and hugged her, his heart instantly filled. Julian flew to New York every week, persistent, just begging to see Evelyn once. But Evelyn didn't see him. In this life, they wouldn't have the chance to meet again. Victoria advised him to give up. Julian shook his head. "Mom, I want Evie to see my sincerity so she will come back." His life was left with only the task of winning Evelyn back. Without her, living had no meaning. Julian persisted like this for half a year until Evelyn had a servant pass a message to him. "Mr. Blackwood, our miss says she is getting married soon. Don't disturb her anymore." The expression on Julian's face froze. The food container in his hand fell to the ground. Inside was the meal he spent over 2 hours cooking, brought all the way from home. Getting married? The next second, he tried to rush into the house like a madman. "No, Evie is mine. She can't marry Harrison." "She's mine," he didn't get in, bodyguards blocked him. He collapsed wretchedly on the ground. "I beg you, go in and tell Evie I want to see her. I won't do anything to her. I just want to see her." Naturally, the bodyguards ignored him. Julian stayed blankly in place. From a distance, he saw a car drive over and go directly into the estate. Through the iron gate, he saw Harrison get out of the car. Evelyn walked out of the house and threw herself into his arms. Julian's heart felt like it was being twisted. He scrambled up from the ground and shouted loudly, "Evie, Evie!" Evelyn didn't hear. Embraced by Harrison, the two walked into the house together. Julian slapped the iron gate hard, roaring, struggling. But even beating his hands until they bled, he couldn't get a single glance from Evelyn. His Evie didn't want him anymore. After returning to the country, Julian fell seriously ill. He lay in a hospital bed unconscious every day, muttering Evelyn's name. Even in his dreams, he expected a miracle that Evelyn would come to see him. But as days passed one by one, he never waited for Evelyn. Victoria couldn't watch anymore. Accompanied by Chloe, she flew to New York. Evelyn came home from work and saw the mother and daughter at the gate. As soon as Victoria saw Evelyn, she tried to grab her hand. Evelyn dodged. Victoria was embarrassed. Gone was her previous arrogance. She said softly, "Evie, Julian is sick. He wants to see you. Will you go back with Mom to see him?" "Yeah, sister-in-law, I was wrong before. I apologize to you. Will you forgive us?" Evelyn didn't understand what this mother-daughter act meant, but she couldn't be bothered to deal with it. She had no relationship with the Blackwood family anymore. Victoria cried, "Evie, consider it Mom begging you, okay? Come back with me to see Julian. He really needs you." In the past, Victoria never acknowledged her status. Now, hearing Mom after Mom, Evelyn only found it ironic and laughable. She said indifferently, "You aren't my mom. Julian and I are divorced. Don't disturb me again." Saying that, she prepared to enter the house when her waist was hugged from behind. She turned to see Harrison's handsome face. "Ladies, what do you want to do to my fiancé?" Victoria was shocked. "Fiancé," Harrison hummed. "Evie is my fiancé." Victoria and Chloe looked at each other, leaving awkwardly. After they left, Evelyn looked at Harrison and said, "When did I agree to marry you?" Harrison chuckled low, his eyes full of doting. "Are you reminding me I should propose?" "I am not." Evelyn raised her hand to hit him in annoyance, but was caught by the wrist. "Understood, my princess." Harrison took Evelyn back to the Wentworth family home to meet his parents. Before entering, Evelyn was nervous, but after meeting Mr. and Mrs. Wentworth, she relaxed a lot, especially Mrs. Wentworth, who looked gentle and kind. She held Evelyn's hand constantly, giving her a warm feeling. "If Harrison bullies you, tell me. I won't let him off." Evelyn stayed at the Wentworths for a few days. Harrison's parents didn't look down on her for being married before. Instead, they treated her like a daughter. In the evening, his parents weren't home. Under the chef's guidance, Harrison cooked personally, making 4 dishes and a soup. Evelyn tasted a mouthful and held back for a long time not to spit it out. "How is it? Delicious?" Evelyn lied against her conscience. "Delicious." Harrison was quite proud. "My skill for a first-time cook is pretty good." Evelyn laughed a few times. Just as she wanted to try if other dishes were also hard to eat, she heard him say, "Don't eat yet." Evelyn was suspicious. "What's wrong?" Harrison took out a ring from his pocket, gazing deeply at her. "Will you marry me?" "To me, a marriage certificate is just a piece of paper. My love for you won't be limited to any form. With or without the certificate, my love won't be a bit less. But I think with a marriage contract, I can tie you down firmly so no one can take you away. I can't guarantee I'll be the gentlest, most considerate husband, but I can guarantee that as long as I live one day, I will love you one day." Even knowing he would propose, Evelyn couldn't help widening her eyes at this moment. After reacting, she laughed out loud. Other men's proposals were quite romantic. Him, just a simple meal, no flowers, even the proposal lines were so. But under his expectant gaze, Evelyn nodded. "I agree to marry you." Love didn't have to be vigorous and surging. Being with Harrison was mostly calm and comfortable. Harrison put the ring on her hand and hugged her tight. Evelyn leaned on his chest, listening to his strong heartbeat, feeling at ease. She looked down at the ring on her hand. "This ring looks a bit familiar." As she asked, she remembered. A while ago she went to an auction. She had her eye on this ring, but she didn't get it. Someone else won it, and she had felt a little regretful. "So you bought this ring?" Harrison raised an eyebrow. "Because I knew you liked it." He confessed affectionately, "I've waited for this day for a long time. Evie, believe me, I will spoil you, love you, and give you everything." Evelyn's heart skipped a beat, and a smile slowly spread across her face. 3 months later, Harrison and Evelyn held their wedding at an ancient castle. Harrison planned the entire wedding himself, but he didn't say. Evelyn only found out before the wedding started. Knowing he did more than he said, seeing his bloodshot eyes these days, she felt heartache. "Harrison, thank you, I'm very happy today." Harrison looked at her in the wedding dress, dazed. Actually, he had imagined it countless times, but in this instant, he was still stunned by her beauty. He coughed a few times. "It's not too late to thank me tonight." Evelyn understood instantly, then felt annoyed at him. He ruined the warm atmosphere again, his head full of those unwholesome things. Julian didn't go. He dared not go, afraid he couldn't resist stopping the wedding. Of course, to ensure the wedding went smoothly, Harrison deployed many security guards inside and out. His brothers teased him. "Isn't this exaggerated? Go away, what do you single dogs know?" For Harrison, Evelyn was his treasure. Naturally, he had to prevent anyone from taking her away, especially with Julian still eyeing her covetously. He had to be fully prepared. This wedding of the century was live-streamed online. Julian watched Evelyn on the screen, his breath hitching. She wore a pure white, exquisite wedding dress, her beautiful face just like when they first met. This happiness originally belonged to him, but he lost it. He regretted it deeply. If given another chance to start over, he definitely wouldn't betray his vows and cheat. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. She looked at Harrison and smiled so brilliantly. Julian was jealous enough to want to smash the phone. But if he smashed the phone, he wouldn't see Evie. He couldn't figure out why he was obsessed and got together with Tiffany back then. Clearly, the person he loved in his heart was only Evie, yet he couldn't control his body. Seeing Harrison kiss Evelyn, anger attacked his heart, and a mouthful of fresh blood spilled from his lips, staining the phone screen red. He immediately reached out to wipe it clean, then placed the phone over his heart, tears never stopping. On the wedding night, Evelyn refused to be intimate with Harrison no matter what. Harrison was depressed but dared not do anything, only asking aggrievedly, "Did I make you angry somewhere today?" Evelyn looked at him, hooked her lips into a smile, and shook her head. "No." Harrison was even more confused. "My lady wife, can you give me a straight answer, Evelyn looked at him shyly, saying word by word, "I'm pregnant." Harrison was dumbfounded, unable to react for a long time. Evelyn didn't expect to get lucky after just one time. But it also proved that her inability to conceive before wasn't, because her body had a problem. Harrison suddenly picked her up and spun her around. "I'm going to be a dad." Evelyn hugged his neck tightly, afraid of falling. "Put me down quickly." Harrison said excitedly, "No, I'm happy." "I'm going to be a dad." Evelyn felt sweet yet helpless. "You're making me dizzy." Hearing this, Harrison finally bore to put her down, kissed her heavily on the face, looking at her with earnest and gentle eyes. "I never believed in gods, but I'm truly grateful to the heavens for sending you to me. In this life, I ask for nothing else, only to grow old with you." After marriage, Harrison didn't interfere with Evelyn's career, nor did he make her stop working because she was pregnant. Instead, he changed a lot himself, putting all his energy into the family. Every day studying how to cook, his culinary skills took a quantum leap. Especially since Evelyn's stomach wasn't good, he tried every way to regulate her health. Work became a side job for him. Making Evelyn happy became his main job. When Evelyn was 5 months pregnant, Mrs. Wentworth worried it was inconvenient for her to work with a big belly and wanted her to start maternity leave. But she was stopped by Harrison. "Mom, Evie knows her limits. We must respect her." Mrs. Wentworth said no more, just instructing him to take good care of Evelyn. The following year, Evelyn gave birth to a daughter. Becoming a father for the first time, Harrison was excited and happy. "Honey, thank you for giving me a daughter. In my heart, you are both my treasures, but I love you more. You will always be first." Evelyn's face beamed with smiles. She knew Harrison wasn't lying. Coming out of the delivery room just now, he didn't even glance at the baby. His attention was entirely on her. "What if our daughter gets jealous in the future?" Harrison smiled and hugged her. "Jealous of what? She'll meet her husband later. You are my wife, of course, I spoil you most." Outside the ward, Julian hid aside watching Evelyn sitting on the bed. She had changed, becoming more beautiful and gentle, but all this was brought to her by another man. Unwilling yet forced to accept fate, the rest of her life would no longer involve him. Across a distance, he whispered to himself, "Evie, if there is a next life, I will definitely love you properly and never let you be disappointed or leave me again." 3 years later, Harrison took Evelyn to a small town for a vacation. Walking hand in hand by the crystal-clear river, like an old couple, leisurely and at ease. But at night, Evelyn nagged about going back. She couldn't bear to be apart from her daughter. Harrison persuaded her earnestly. "Our daughter is being taken care of by Mom and Dad. Don't worry." Evelyn looked at him. "Don't you miss our daughter at all?" Harrison chuckled and kissed her. "Of course I miss her, but you are the most important. Wife, I love you."